Is your partner's behavior leaving you with that gut feeling that something's just off? Maybe it's not what they are doing, but what they aren't doing that's telling you the real story. In this video, we're going deep into the non-obvious signs of infidelity, the signs that professional investigators look for before any fancy surveillance equipment or phone recorders ever come into play. Stick with me and we'll reveal how the most damning evidence is often hidden right in front of your own eyes. I know nobody wants to be in this position. No one wants to feel betrayed, and no one wants to think their entire life is ending right before their very eyes. But that doubt, those suspicions can erode your trust and your confidence faster than almost anything else. As a private investigator, I hear the stories after the fact all the time. The most frequent phrase I hear isn't, "I saw the text message," it's, "I should have known something was up." The big secret is that the key to understanding a cheating spouse isn't about one single gotcha moment. It's about recognizing a pattern of unusual behavior. People are creatures of habit. When they start to break those habits, that's when the red flags should start popping up. Let's start with the most obvious one, which surprisingly is often dismissed. This is your very own gut feelings. Don't ignore your intuition. In our business, we call it street smarts. This video is sponsored by OREP Insurance and Working PI Magazine. OREP is a leading provider of private investigator liability insurance. Visit orep.org for a quote today. You probably know your spouse better than anyone else on the planet. When something feels different, when there seems to be a sudden distance between you, when you start noticing those subtle changes in habit, well, it's probably worth paying attention to. It's not conclusive evidence, to be sure, but it is the reason to start observing more closely. Have you ever noticed your partner adopting entirely new phrases, hobbies, or even a sudden interest in a type of music or sport that they used to dislike? Later in this video, we're going to discuss why this mirroring behavior isn't just a random phase. It is often a direct reflection of a new influence in their life that they're trying to impress. Let's talk about a difficult and personal area of your relationship: intimacy and emotional connection. Infidelity isn't always physical. At first, sometimes it is emotional. Is your partner suddenly more withdrawn, both physically and verbally? Are conversations that used to be easy now strained and very brief? Are you sensing a lack of presence even when you're together in the same room? On the flip side, though, and this one catches a lot of people off guard, is your partner suddenly exhibiting more intimacy or giving you gifts out of the blue? Sometimes this love bombing is driven by guilt, trying to overcompensate for their actions elsewhere. It's a tricky balance, to be sure. On one hand, it could mean nothing more than they love you and want to display that love, but then it could be a warning sign too. Also, look for increased criticism. A cheating spouse may start picking fights or being overly critical of you. Why? Well, it's often a form of displacement by finding fault with you. They can mentally justify their own behavior to themselves by telling themselves that they or you are so difficult, unattractive, argumentative, that I deserve to find happiness elsewhere. They create a narrative in their own head where you are the bad guy, making their actions feel less egregious in their own mind. This emotional distancing is a key component to understanding how infidelity operates. What if those late nights at the office are actually cover stories for a complete different reason? Later in this video, we will break down the exact ways cheaters alter their schedules and the real reasons they might be providing those seemingly plausible but completely fabricated excuses. Let's move to something we deal with constantly in today's investigations: the digital trail. Now, as we get into this, if you're finding this information valuable and you want to support this kind of content, please do me a huge favor. Hit that thumbs up and that subscribe button. It really helps the channel out a lot. Okay, back to the technology. The phone, the modern day keeper of secrets. This isn't about demanding their passwords. That is usually a lost cause any way you go about it. Is their phone always on silent? Do they never leave it unattended? Like, do they even take it to the bathroom? Well, okay, I know for certain trips these days, everyone takes their phone into the bathroom. Are they taking calls in other rooms or speaking in whispers? What's the lock screen or the desktop screen show? Sometimes the most obvious things, like changing a photo from a family picture to a neutral background, can signal a mental shift. Look at the pattern of their device usage. Are they texting late at night? Are they clearing their search history constantly? Do they get defensive if you even ask who they were texting? Remember, it's not the individual action, rather it's the defensive and secretive attitude surrounding the phone that should give you pause. Speaking of phones, what if the most suspicious communication isn't a text message at all, but a silence that screams suspicion? This is a concept that we call dead air in communications, and it's often a red flag in infidelity investigations. Now let's talk about money, the financial piece. Secret relationships are rarely free. Cheating often creates a financial paper trail. Now, I'm not saying you need to become a forensic accountant, but you should be aware of unusual financial activity. Look for cash withdrawals that can't be easily explained. In this digital age, why would your spouse suddenly need $300 in cash every Friday afternoon? Check your credit card and bank statements. Look for recurring charges from unfamiliar places, restaurants you've never been to, hotels in town, or small charges at gas stations far away from their usual route. Also, be on the lookout for hidden accounts. Are there emails from a new bank account or a statement in the mail that they were trying to hide from you before you saw it? Did they open a new credit card that they forgot to tell you about? In the world of cheating, financial infidelity is almost always a precursor to or consequences of physical infidelity. If they are lying about where the money is going, they are most lying about other things too. Imagine you discovered that your spouse had an entirely separate digital existence, a hidden email, a secret social media profile, maybe even a burner phone. Having a second life is a core tactic for infidelity, and that is something that a professional investigation is always going to look at. Speaking of professional investigations, if you would like early access to select videos and private videos along with other benefits, then click that join button down below to see all of the benefits you could get by becoming a PI Guide channel member. Now let's talk about some of those most important red flags to watch out for. Appearance and schedule. Has your partner suddenly become very invested in how they look? Do they suddenly have a new gym membership, or are they on a new diet, buying a whole new wardrobe, or spending much longer getting ready for work or when they're going out with friends? While self-improvement is great, a drastic and unexplained shift often points to a desire to impress someone else. Then there's the schedule we need to look at closely. Those late nights at the office, those sudden business trips that keep popping up, those hanging out with the old friends that you never met before moments. Here is the critical investigative point to keep in mind. Are these excuses consistent? Do they always stay late on the same night? If they are on a business trip, can you reach them while they're on the business trip? If they say they're out with friends, does that friend confirm it later without sounding rehearsed? You see, cheaters always lie, but they usually get lazy too. They will reuse the same cover story, and if you start paying attention to the details of those stories, the cracks will eventually show. Look, if you've been nodding your head to several of these points in this video, I know that those can be terrifying and overwhelming feelings, to be sure. My advice is simple. Don't confront your spouse until you're certain and you have undeniable proof. And oftentimes, the only way to have undeniable proof is to hire a licensed professional private investigator to help you get that proof. When you decide to hire a PI, make sure you have all of your suspicions documented, days, times, and other details that can help them formulate the investigation for you. I also highly recommend, especially if children are involved and if divorce or separation may be the end result, that you discuss this with a qualified and experienced family law attorney. The advice the attorney provides you will be very valuable in helping you decide what next steps to take. You don't want to spend the money for a PI to do an infidelity investigation, and those can cost a lot of money if your attorney isn't going to use that evidence. You see, in so many states, infidelity is not a factor in a divorce case. It doesn't make a difference of whether the court allows the divorce, how the assets are divided, or who gets custody. And it is best to know these things so you aren't wasting valuable financial assets. Now, really quick, go down and hit that thumbs up and that subscribe button. Click the join button to learn more about the benefits of becoming a PI Guide channel member.